What's up, y'all? This is Throwing Light. I am LTJ Reeves, and if you're not throwing lights, you're not acting right. I've got Zephyr here, Mr. Eagle Leather 2024.
Mr. Eagle NYC 2025.
There you go,
So
2025. Oh, there we
I'm
go.
still going.
Okay, so you're in season. I don't know why
Yep.
I'm thinking of my class because I'm 2024. Sorry. Okay,
Nah, it's
so
all right.
you are in New York City. You are
Yeah.
in one of my favorite cities, definitely in the country, hands down. And what I know of the world, it's an exciting city to be in. New York City, that's a big city, you know.
Yeah, I love it. I really can't imagine living just about anywhere else.
There's everything there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything. I want to have an opportunity to just come and live there, even just temporarily, and just be a part of that because I love New York City. And yeah, I could tell you, it was so weird. My first opportunity going to New York City was taking this girl that I was in school with in college, taking her brother's car to her because he had moved
Mhm.
up there, and I was supposed to fly back. And so I drove up there and got up there, and so we got to her brother's place with the car, and then she turns around. We're going to the place. She's okay. Well, you can't stay here. Here's your plane ticket, and it was like for 3 days. It was like for 3 days in the future. So I had to find somewhere for 3 days in New York City to stay. Luckily, someone was going to school there because I just got fucking dropped off there. So, anyways,
Yeah,
I was
that's
19.
expensive.
19. Well, luckily, I was, I had no money. But, anyways,
Yeah.
okay. So, this isn't about my college days. This is about your journey. So, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how you got involved in the community?
So I guess we can also talk a little bit about like my college days. When in high school, I had this goal of like I want to live in New York City for at least 1 year.
Uh,
So I applied to a bunch of colleges around here because I was like, this is where I want to go. I was very active and involved with the music scene growing up and knew that that was something I wanted to continue. So I moved to New York because every band has to go through New York. And within a week there, got involved in, oh no, I had lights to make it look pretty and they died. Okay. Um,
it looks fine. There you go. It's back, huh?
I,
Just low.
let's see how long it lasts. But within a week, I started working at a DIY music venue in Queens, New York. And that was in a lot of ways my path. It's just gonna be off, whatever.
Fine.
That was my path into sort of like discovering queerness and different people. I was very involved with punk music, which, as you know, has a bit of that sort of tough aesthetic, leather jackets, torn up jeans. And that was really my first time being in community with queer people, is people just coming together and making shit happen in like the basement of a church because that was the venue you had, so you're just gonna use it. So I moved to New York when I was 17. I went to the Eagle for the first time in 2019. So at that point, I had started medical transition and had already like done queer polyamorous sort of stuff and knew that I was kinky and wanted to get involved. And then the world shut down, if you remember. That kind of kept me out from it. So I knew it was something I really wanted to get into and be a part of. But it's really hard to sort of find any sort of community moments. My first internship after college was TGNC, trans and gender nonconforming advocacy peer position, which that just kind of like lit the sort of fire of like I want to work for community. I want my job to be in service of others who are queer. Uh, it happened like a little bit after Trump got into power, where I was like, I don't know what I want to do. This is something I'm feeling called to do, so I did that. So I began working in advocacy while also working at a coffee shop in order to make ends meet because advocacy doesn't necessarily pay a lot.
Yeah.
So a little bit after I went to the Eagle for the first time, I got a job where I currently work over at GMHC uh, as an HIV testing an educator. So my my passion for working for the community is kind of 24/7. Because when I am at work, that is what I'm doing. I work in outreach. So it's my job to find the places that we need to go to provide the services and the different resources that are available to me working within nonprofit. And then within the Eagle, I just found like very much like kind of a family there. I know everyone loves to use that language. I started going to the Eagle regularly during Chris Kelly's year, Mr. Eagle NYC 2023. Yes, 2023. And he basically made a no cover night that was inspired by code without being a code night. Where the idea is it was basically the party into where there was no cover. You could come in and you encouraged to wear your gear in whatever that looked like for you. So the very first night I went with a rope harness that I tied on because I love rope. And then it was like moments where I got to wear whatever little leather gear I had accumulated over the years. Like this hat is old trusty for me. So I would show up and I found it was a place where I could just go by myself and people would want to talk. And that was something that I was really looking for at that time.
So, what when did you start having a passion for, leadership? Like, what made you want to wear a sash?
Yeah. I didn't really have a passion for leadership and I didn't really want to do a pageant. The reason that I ran for Mr. Eagle is I wanted things to change at the Eagle. I knew from a lot of people that I'm friends with that they were too scared to go to the Eagle because of their preconceptions of what that space was going to be like. They're like, oh, I'm interested in kink and leather and these things, but I'm scared about going to the Eagle uh, for this, that, or the other reason. So I ran for the title because I wanted to open the doors to help trans people come in and see if that was a space that they wanted to be in and take up. Because I think not I think I know there's a lot of trans people who are kinksters and do all these different things and meet in these things, but they weren't going to the Eagle. And I was like, this is a good spot. It is a historic spot. This is like the OG leather bar. Like it's moved from the original place, but like the Eagle's Nest became the Eagle, and we have the Eagle now. And I just wanted to get those people into there. And in my year, I have both through like the fact that a trans person won the contest. And from my theme nights, I took Chris Kelly's Into parties, which I really loved, brought it back to late night because they'd become beer blast only on Sundays, which is usually like 5 to 8. But I brought it back to late night and began giving themes to each one. So it's like wear whatever you're into, and we're going to focus on this or that. So the first thing I did was like, I want a trans invasion. I want trans people to come into the space and be celebrated. And I want everybody who's there to know trans people are coming and you're going to be nice to them. And a lot of people would show up just for that. They're like, we like that you're doing this and we want to welcome trans people. So cis and trans people would show up. I would invite co-hosts when I could. But I was able to get a lot of people who were scared just to go in those doors to take a chance to come in.
So, I want to go back. So, transitioning.
Yeah.
When you decided to transition, um, you know, when was the moment, or when was you like, what, like for me to feel as my authentic self, I need to do this? Like, when did you determine that? What was your mental state like?
I'd like come out as non-binary at some point where it was just, I don't know, it just fit right. I didn't really have to change anything about myself. I was kind of just doing my gender. And when I came out as non-binary, it was like, oh, this is just a word for what it is that I've been doing. The first time I realized I needed medical intervention was the very first time I put on a binder. I put it on, went, yeah, we're getting rid of those. A binder is a chest compression garment for anyone who may not know. Uh, but yeah, as soon as I put that on, I was like, yeah, we're getting rid of these. I'd always like kind of wanted to get rid of them. Did you ever like do the We Fit growing up?
A little bit.
So there is like this weird meditation thing that they have in like one of the yoga things where they're like, sit, close your eyes, and imagine your ideal body. And in my mind, it was always with a flat chest. So the very first thing I did medically was get top surgery because I was like, I can't stand having boobs.
Okay.
Like this is the worst thing in the world. I didn't like hugging people because they would push against my chest and I'd be reminded that they were there. And that
Mm,
was just hell for me. So like imagine just like not being comfortable touching people.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh Later I started testosterone when I'd like started honestly after I started dating other people who had gone on testosterone and like getting to really be with them both as a person and sexually, I was like, oh, this is something that like I can do for me as well. So I started on a very low dose. Because, like I said, I was involved with music, so I was a singer. I was like, oh no, what's gonna happen to my singing voice? So I started really low dose, and it just felt right. Like things just sort of lined up. And as the changes progressed, I was like, this is right. And now I'm on like about as high a dose as they typically prescribe because that's just what feels right for me. I was meant to be in like a testosterone baseline body. So while I've stayed non-binary through like all of this, like in a lot of ways, my gender hasn't really changed. I've just taken medical interventions to feel more comfortable with who I am. So I love testosterone, love having top surgery. Medical transition is a miracle and it saved my life. I remember I turned 28. I was like, wow, I beat the 27 club. Because like growing up, I did not see a future for me. I didn't see the possibility of growing old. I could not imagine what it would be like to grow up. I just assumed I'd be dead by then. So I remember turning 28 and going like, wow, I beat the 27 club. I guess I'm growing older. And I turn 30 next month, and that's exciting for me. Like I have a lot of friends in their 30s, and they seem to be doing well. It's kind of like your 20s, but you know a little bit more what's happening, and you have a little bit more money. I'm excited for that.
They can be a little chaotic at the beginning, but you'll get to the hang of it towards the end. Um,
I'm
yeah,
not in a hurry.
it doesn't matter. Everybody is who they
Yeah,
are when they are. And I mean, you're a old soul. You're a wise soul. Let's go back to music. And
yeah,
so, what was going on there? So you enjoy music. How have you been
yeah.
able to have you been able to blend that at all into what you do? As a leather person.
So I was in a punk band, like an indie alt emo punk band in high school and through college. Um, and like that was kind of a way to get into gear. Like my first like leather jacket I bought was like a sort of punk bomber jacket because I saw that like Joan Jett wore stuff like that in the 70s. And I was like, well, she's everything. Uh, and I want to look like that. And I think it's hot. And I would wear that on stage and kind of in that lineage. While I personally haven't had too many chances to blend it, because like the go-to going out music here is like house, and the Eagle always has like a really good disco set, and that's also something I really enjoy dancing to. I haven't really been able to, with my title at least, bring in punk stuff. I do know one of my friends, Santos, who like I met through music. We both did Punk Island together, which is an all ages free music festival that happens around the summer solstice. But he's also very involved in like the kink and leather scene. And he throws Transferno along with Chris Gray and Adam Barron. Transferno is a trans centered, mostly trans masculine centered sex and play party that takes place in Brooklyn. And he's begun to bring in sort of like different punk music into like the sets that would happen during the party itself. I was invited to co-host and I'd originally signed on, but it's this weekend, and that's Latin Fetish Weekend, which I decided was where I really wanted to be, both personally and as a title holder. Because while LA does have a lot of title holders, I thought it'd be important for someone to travel. And it's really nice to just see like a very active Latin scene. Like I'm half Costa Rican, I'm Latino, Latinx, whatever you want to call it. And that is the type of celebration that I want to see more of. So I decided I was going to go to LA and show face and body and just support the event.
Now, have you been able to connect with people with music and HIV education?
No, as a counselor, I very much make sure that my sessions aren't about me. I
Okay.
go in to facilitate that person's experience and to educate them. And in general, I don't disclose a lot about myself in those sessions
Do you
because who
ever
I
do you ever do they ever want you to relate to them or to reveal any part of your life to them to see how you would respond or react to situations?
they do sometimes. But I work very hard to make sure that this is a session about them and facilitating what it is that they need. Uh, Sometimes when it becomes about the counselor, it gets very distracting and it's hard to keep them on point on like what's going on. Of like, do you actually know how HIV is transmitted? Do you understand how PrEP works? Do you understand that most people who are negative can take PrEP and there's different ways, including like cisgender women, which is kind of a big mission here. Here, particularly in New York, especially in the South Bronx, a lot of Black women are seroconverting. So we're trying to really make sure that women know that PrEP is an option for them because they can also protect themselves in this way. Um, like, yes, HIV is still overrepresented in gay communities, and we need to focus on the population that's really getting hit right now. So
Underrepresented.
I tend to try to keep it on them. I think sometimes I share like my information and my expertise, both from a personal and professional standpoint. Uh, but I try to keep the I out of these sessions.
What are the biggest stigmas that people that are um infected with HIV have about themselves before they come to you? You know, are they coming in self-defeated? Are there people, to me, you know, definitely being down here in the South, I am surprised by the lack of education that is spread amongst our community in
Mhm.
the mainstream and the ignorance that is still prevalent in our community in regards to HIV, AIDS, and education and the progress and all that type of stuff. You know, you still have people that are saying, you know, are you clean, which can be offensive to people saying things
Yeah.
like that. Um, you know, really getting people to understand that you equals you. To me, down here, it seems like we're not there. You know, there are people that know, but it's the people that want to know. But
Hmm.
you have so many people that just are kind of like, I don't want anything to deal with it. It doesn't, you know, like
Yeah.
at all. Um,
Which isn't helpful. It's a variety of people come in and test positive, and it's my job to let them know that this test has come back as positive, and we're going to run a confirmatory and get you set up with medical care. Something that I do to try to mitigate stigma, because there is so much stigma when it comes to HIV, such as like your life is over,
right.
you are never going to get to have sex again. You the idea that you're going to die within 6 months, or just that someone has made mistakes, when really the worst part from what I've seen when people like keep coming back is like just those first few months as they're getting used to this new reality. One way in which I mitigate the stigma is in my education session with a client is I talk about HIV from a few perspectives. First is not first. It will flow with the conversation, but I talk about many different ways of prevention. So condoms, PrEP, injectable PrEP, PrEP 211, and HIV PEP. And I also talk about treatment and how simple it is, and how people can get to what we refer to as undetectable, which is when someone is living with HIV, but due to taking their medication, has reduced the amount of virus present in their blood. Their viral load is so low it can no longer be detected on a standard HIV test. And this means two major things for someone. The first of which is they cannot transmit HIV to another person, including through sex without a condom. The second thing, because I think we need to center people who are positive in these conversations, is people who are positive and undetectable, in the US at least, are on average living lives just as long as those who are HIV negative. In a lot of ways, like it's gonna be fine, it's just gonna be a little bit annoying. One of the lucky things about PrEP is you can kind of stop it at any time. When it comes to treatment, that one is for life.
Um, you know, this is one. This is This is an area where I just feel like we really need to progress. And we really need to figure out how to build bridges. How to get information to the mainstream gay male population.
Mm,
um because they're not coming to the bar even when we put stuff out at the bars. Like, they're not picking that stuff up, you know what I'm saying, like that.
mhm.
Like,
A lot of
I don't think Grinder, maybe Grinder and other social apps, maybe advertisements, maybe people might see that, but there's not a real culture of like get educated, know, you know be good to each other. Like, don't exclude, don't chastise, don't make someone out to feel untouchable, unwanted because they have HIV.
mhm.
Like,
I
don't,
try to remind people that someone who is positive and undetectable is safer than someone who is negative and on PrEP but hasn't tested in a while.
of course. And
That's usually that
so
time in which,
ignorant. They're still going on and just
yeah,
take, oh, you're negative. Okay, we're good. Like that.
no,
Those
people still,
people
there
gotta
are
be
sort
the
of,
ones that are the most ignorant. They're just kind of like, oh, well, you're positive. I don't want to catch it, but like I'm gonna just take someone's word for it that says they're net. It's really
yeah.
hypocritical. In a sense, and I call that like that republicanism like mentality, like that sometimes. Well, that we do have that mentality where we're working against each other. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it's just like everybody has their challenges in life. You know what I'm saying? But to somehow there are so many different types of life-threatening illnesses, and to somehow um think that there are things that make you a plague. Like, we're just not there
Yeah.
anymore. Um,
No, we're in a whole different time. I do sometimes joke that I got into this work when it got easier, because when I tell someone they're positive, it's like things are going to be fine for you in about 6 months. New York City is one of the best places in the world to have HIV because there's so many social programs available to sort of protect people. I think in great part because we were hit so hard in the early epidemic of it all. Like we have programs that help out with housing because housing is healthcare. There's insurance programs, so if someone doesn't have insurance and can't afford their medication, it's going to get paid for. There is a lot of different things that I'm able to sort of help people out with through my work. So when they test positive, I'm like, this sucks right now. Go home and talk to your friends. I make everyone make a game plan before we even run the test of like, if you test positive, who are you going to talk to? What are you going to do for yourself? Are you able to contact your recent sexual partners so that they can know and also get tested and we can like help everyone out? That partner question is legally mandated, is my understanding. But before anyone can get anywhere there, before I know anything about the person, I ask them, if you test positive today, what are you going to do? How are you going to take care of yourself? And then I also couple it because we try to stay very status neutral in our approach. Like, and if you test negative, how are you going to keep going on and making choices that feel right for you when it comes to sex? There was like a while where we had a bunch of like 22 and 23-year-old gay guys testing positive for HIV. And that was one of those like, oh man, we've been working so hard for so many years to have PrEP available to help people get undetectable so that you didn't have to do this. And like, you're gonna be fine. But it was a good kicker to like make sure that the PrEP generation kids are also getting on PrEP. A lot of people have this sort of like false idea that because everybody else is on PrEP, I don't need to be on PrEP.
Yeah.
So we can go bareback and it's going to be fine. And then they both end up in my office and I'm helping get them connected with Mount Sinai or someone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure this out, but we there definitely has to be some kind of bridges that we can do this. I loved your trans invasion idea. I really honestly what I think I would love to do, I want to put a trans panel together. I would
Mhm.
love you to help me with that and actually call it trans invasion because I think that's amazing. Um,
That'd be great.
this is where I see the biggest like disconnect between trans people and conservatives and all these people is that they don't understand the transition part. They don't understand why someone will want to switch from one gender. They can't mentally understand the physical transformation from one gender to another. They don't get the need for that, why you would want to do that.
I
And
can I can think of a few sort of scenarios that would sort of help them line up because cisgender people get way more gender affirming care than trans people do. Like, did that boob job help you feel more like a woman? That was gender affirming care. Are you on TRT because your system isn't as active and virile as it used to be when you were a kid? That is gender affirming care. Did you get like fillers here? That gender affirming care. Did you go to Turkey to get your hairline done? That's gender affirming care. Um, and it's also like imagine it. That's like one. It's like you guys are already doing all these things. We just are also doing it, but you feel weird about it. Because like I know it's just people who get a beard done at Turkey or Colombia or wherever people are flying to nowadays for hairlines. I don't have that kind of money. But like cisgender people are the ones who are getting the most gender affirming care. Probably in this country, potentially worldwide. I haven't left the country in a while. um,
oh well, well, the
so
plot thickens, doesn't it?
that's one. It's like I get ads for TRT all the time, and I'm like, this is hilarious because like I'm technically doing that, but I just don't produce that much endogenous testosterone. Um, Bodybuilders and trans guys have a lot in common,
Oh
like acne receding hairlines and pinning ourselves in the butt. Yeah, we're all doing it.
well,
That's sometimes referred to as we like to joke that's MTM, male to male.
I I enjoy that. I enjoy everything you just said. I enjoy that answer a lot.
Yeah. Another
Uh,
scenario you can give is to go to like
People are
a cis
always
man
trying
who's
to
like, I
alter
don't.
their bodies. They are. Everyone has this like physical
Yeah,
issue, right? We all have this body dysmorphia issue that we're trying to work on. Everybody. If you don't have body dysmorphia, please tell me the secret because
yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, it's a daily struggle for me. I do not see myself always the way people might see me. You know, I have to be like, what sometimes because my struggle is my struggle every day. And I don't expect people to understand the struggle I go through, but I know that I have been through some very extremely difficult things in my life, but I have not gone through what you have gone through, which I would imagine is a much more daunting task to take on in life is trying to be your authentic self. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do is be authentic, but you know, I feel that you've got your first class citizens, your second class citizens, and I think some cases sometimes you got third class citizens, and we've got to like help, you know, get everybody equally treated here. But the hypocrisy of the heterosexual community and everything from
Hmm.
sexual predators, especially in your conservative groups. I hate that we don't focus on just calling that out. I mean, There are tons of sexual predators in churches, tons.
Yeah.
We don't fight with that. I don't understand why we're not like here. Yeah, we should start outing people that use Grinder that are conservatives. Yeah, we should start doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not fighting with what we can fight with because hypocrisy is unreal right now in this country. And if we don't start calling it out and be like, no, 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 no. Like, I
I
mean,
also think that married straight men are highly eroticized when it comes to it within the gay community. Of there is the sort of like chasing of masculinity when it comes to attraction. I do think that that positionality of being like this straight conservative Christian man getting his back blown out appeals to people, which is preventing some of the people from exposing them online.
well, that's because they're, and I'm gonna, majority think that's going to be your, white, like, you know,
Yeah.
more tied
I have no time for straight
mentality
men.
to the rule. No, I don't play that game. I don't even
Yeah,
think it's
no.
for someone to
I'm
be attracted, like for one to be curious or to play with me. I don't like any of that stuff. Because I'm like, no, no, no. We don't do. We are fully realized human beings. When I gauge you, you need to know who you are, and I don't
yeah.
find any interest in someone that can't be that. Like I just don't have time for it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It's
I
not what I
don't
want to
either.
be around. There are 8 billion people in the world, and I want to be around the best people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that having your sexuality makes you a better person. I'm saying being yourself makes you a better person. And if you're, what I'm saying? Like if you're not
Yes.
fulfilling your authentic self, then you can't be trusted. And I don't think people understand that. Like that means you're
When someone
lying
shows
about
you,
something.
yeah, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
That's true. And that is
And
true.
if someone is showing you that like you can't trust them because they are like willing to lie to like their wife, their girlfriend, whoever, that is a sign that you can't. Like for me, that's not the type of energy I want. I understand it's very appealing for some. I think that there is like this sort of hierarchy of things, and like people see this as like this win. I don't know.
I get
I
you.
want people to be fully out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at the end here, and usually at the end, I ask everybody the same question: is there any aspect of our community that you feel that we are not shining enough light on right now?
We need to do more for trans people in general, especially trans women and especially trans women of color. Um, the rates of sexual assault and murder are astounding when you compare it to the mainstream and everyone outside of it.
Yeah,
Uh, One of the best things you can do is hire trans people, pay trans people to do the things that they can do and want to do, allowing them into the workplace. Just giving people stability can make everything else in their life better. Like if someone has a house, they're more likely to be able to stay on whatever medications that they need. They're able to do that. They are much more likely to be able to have fulfilling lives. Housing is healthcare, and I think we need to work on that for people who are HIV positive and HIV negative, but especially the trans community.
yeah, no, okay, right on. All right, so Zephyr, I thank you so much for being on the show. This is a great conversation. Like I said, I want to continue this work with you. And
Mhm.
I really would love to work on doing a large scale panel, all trans people, trans invasion. I love the idea. I guess we'll talk about all of that.
Yeah, let's
I
do
know.
it.
Well, that was the end of Throwing Light. Zephyr, you got one thing to do before we close out. You've got to close, actually. So I'm going to count to three. And when I count to three, you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you're not acting right.
There we go. And that brings us to another end. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.